All right. Are we all sobered up from ICSC?
Finally recovered.
Yeah. I don't know if we're fully rested yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah. That was hard in the paint, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So you guys had been to Texas ICSC twice now.
Yes.
Including this year. And now you rolled into Vegas ICSC.
Yeah,
What was
Super Bowl?
Yeah. What was the impression?
Whoa. God, I didn't know there was that much commercial real estate going on in just one asset class. Like it was, I don't know. It was wild. I'm glad we listened to you. Like we were going to do the day in and day out deal. I'm so glad we didn't do that.
So here's what happened at the end of Monday for us. I'm a big ice cream guy, and we sit at the Cosmo, and there's this ice cream shop on the second floor. We're coming back from like dinner. It's like 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
Jeremy's like, Will, come on. You want ice cream? I'm like, yeah, let's go get some ice cream. And so as we're walking back, I just hit this wall. I'm like, dude, I can't do it. I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
We were so maxed out. And it's all I talk about is real estate. And I just could not go another foot.
That was when I saw you guys. Y'all were headed to the elevator.
Yes.
And we were walking in.
Dude.
And I was like, come on, chandelier bar for just a second. And Will was like, no, I'm done.
I'm usually super down. I'll go. We just started so early too.
Yeah.
I was destroyed.
Full contact for
Nothing's
3 days.
better than a little alcohol and then a little ice cream and then a little more alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll get you there. That'll get you. I was just like, wow, it's time to go to bed.
I feel like it could be a week, like a full week.
Yeah, please don't even make that suggestion. Let's leave it. So actually, believe it or not, it used to go Sunday to Thursday.
Oof.
And over the years, they've kind of pulled back. And so then for a long time, for ages, it was Sunday to Wednesday. And then it kind of got pulled back even more. And then it was Sunday to full day Tuesday, like to 5 o'clock. And it would just be a ghost town Tuesday at 3 or 4 or 5. So they kept kind of whittling it back. And now Sunday is totally voluntary. They've got a bunch of sessions, guest speakers. They do a really good job trying to curate that. I think Nick Saban was there this year.
Wow.
They've had Kendra Scott come and speak. So like they really do a good job of trying to bring in folks that are going to add value. And then they'll do sessions, every hour after that, like whatever, negotiating the best lease or, what are cap rates and whatever. And they'll have panels up there doing that thing. And then the show really starts Monday and ends Tuesday at, I think, 2 or noon.
2 or 3.
Yeah, something like that. They close it down. And so, but it is a full 2 or 3 days and you come home and I'm spent. I don't want to talk to anybody for 24 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
I was tired.
I was destroyed.
And the only good news is for us, our email traffic just plummets during ICSC. Like, normally you get 500 emails a day. I think maybe I'm getting 100 and 90 of those are just trash. And so it's only 10 are you actually, hey, I got to follow up or I got to do something with this or that.
Yeah.
And so it does get a little quiet, which makes it easier because you can really lock in and kind of focus on what's going on. But, it's same thing as when you guys saw me at Texas. It's meetings every half hour. Yeah, especially Monday is back to back. And then Tuesday, I try to leave a little more open to walk the floor and bump into folks. And, you can get that time on Tuesday that you can't find on Monday. It's way more casual. How was Tuesday? It's probably 30% or 40% of what you saw on Monday.
Oh, okay.
A lot of folks stay Monday, do exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Stay Monday night, do a dinner, and then hop an early flight out on Tuesday. So, the attendance drops significantly, but the folks that are there are still there talking real estate. It's just, I wore jeans and a sport coat on Tuesday instead of a suit on Monday, but it's a productive couple days.
You got to come in with your game face on. Be ready to go because it's a lot. Like Monday is the big day, and a lot of people are out there, like Rob said, on Sunday at either the pool or, going to different parties, going to dinners. So Monday is just full on from early in the morning, breakfast meetings till late at night.
Yeah,
and
we were
moving and shaking no later than 8. I mean, we were kind of in the paint.
Yeah.
Started 11 p.m.
We went to bed after midnight.
Which, by the way, is 2 o'clock our time, right? Like, that's the thing that throws you off. You're having dinner at 8 o'clock. Well, that's 10 p.m. and you're having steak and all the stuff. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Then even if you're you know, if you're in bed by 11 or 12, like I feel like I'm doing pretty well. Like, hey, I'm being responsible, right? But that's still 2:00 our time.
Yeah.
And I can't sleep in, so I'm wide awake.
You're right.
That's what happened
You're always
always
up early there too.
On Monday, I think we were up at like 5 a.m.
That's
we were
the
like,
worst.
you up?
It's the worst.
Let's go. So we just went down. I had Starbucks and, but I think we were talking about we would come in Saturday.
Yeah. I think I come in Saturday next time.
I had no idea. Sunday's almost a full day.
Yeah.
I mean, people were like chopping it up.
They're doing stuff.
They're doing stuff.
You'll love this. We came in Sunday night. We had a dinner meeting. We missed it because our flight was delayed. And Will was like, "We need a private jet."
There you go. Charter.
We can't miss meetings like this.
Well, it's just like you're doing a deal with a guy and it had nothing to do with weather. It's all just like airline related. And I'm like, dude, this might cost us a lot of money right now.
So I catch the same flight every year. I fly out Sunday morning it's 7:30 in the morning or 7 in the morning on American. That means the plane's already in Dallas. It's waiting on you. You're the first flight out in the morning. When you land in Vegas, it's 8 o'clock or 8:30.
Yeah.
So the airport's still pretty quiet, right? Jump in your car, straight to the hotel. There's a chance, you know, you might be able to get a room early because they didn't book it last night. So you could check in early. But even if you can't, you check your bags and go work out or go to the pool, whatever you want to do. And so kind of get your legs underneath you before Sunday really gets going. Yeah. But I've done that same flight for the last probably 20 years. And that keeps you
professional.
Keeps you from flying in Saturday, which is like one more day on your body of being in Vegas. And it's like, all right, I can still be just as productive.
Maybe we want that day on the body.
I think Will's negotiating.
Hey, man, you can fly out Friday if you want.
That's very smart. I didn't think about that.
That's the same flight every year.
Yeah. And you have young kids. Sometimes you need an extra night, right?
Yes.
Wife's like, why was Vegas 2 nights last year? Now it's a week this year. What's happening?
Well, have you ever brought Jess?
So I haven't. And every year she's like, why don't I go with you? And I said, babe, you are welcome to come. But just know I'm not going to see you for 48 hours. Like you're going to be asleep when I leave the room and you're going to be asleep when I get back to the room. And I literally come back to the room for 20 minutes to take a shower and change clothes. And then I'm back out. And I'm like, it's not going to be me and you hanging out by the pool in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about her flying out early before. Let's go out Saturday. And then she leaves on Monday or something like that. But we've never done it.
Yeah. I made that mistake one year and we went out on late Wednesday, Thursday. We're at the pool trying to be responsible. Sunday rolls around. She's getting on a flight back. I'm going to the convention. I'm like, I'm ready to go home.
Get me out of here.
Going. So imagine rolling into Sunday and that all day Monday. And it was still going Tuesday strong.
Yeah.
You're like, let me out of here.
Yeah.
I've never done that again.
We did. Jess flew out one year on Wednesday after the show and we stayed until Saturday. Yeah. And I wanted to blow my brains out. I wanted to get out of Vegas. It was her and another couple of friends of ours, and they had just landed. Well, they're ready to party and have fun.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted, right? And I'm like, just get me home. And so I'm trying to power through until Friday and be a sport. And that was her first and only Vegas ICSC trip. But being there while you're at the show, like you might as well, be a state away. I'm not going to see you. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm completely jammed up for 48 hours.
Well, it was...
Maybe we don't do the idea we had.
No, we're like, do we bring the wives?
Come in
Sounds
Saturday.
Like no.
Sounds like no.
The only exception to that is if they love hanging out together and they don't need you to have fun.
Yeah.
Great. Like y'all go, you'll have we'll sleep next to each other at whatever time I get back to the room.
Yes.
And then I'm going to go about my merry way in the morning.
Right.
Buyer beware.
Sounds like a distraction.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So tell me, what did you guys do while you were out there? What deals did you, or how did you facilitate stuff? What kind of meetings did you have?
We had,
we had, hold on, let me pull it up. We had a full schedule and I wanted to leave it kind of open.
Yeah.
Cause we just wanted to kind of soak it up, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And you're meeting with developers. Yeah, to provide capital on.
We had 11 meetings Monday.
Okay.
Nice. So pretty full. All developers. Actually made a great leasing and management connection in San Antonio.
Yeah.
she only does retail, but when you're in a smaller market like that, you just observe stuff. And so it's just been very beneficial. They don't do any industrial. Maybe we'd buy something and they would launch into it. I don't know, but it was good. She's great.
Very, very informative.
Yeah. Bethany Babcock. She's awesome. So we're happy we made that connection. I don't know what the pipeline that came out direct was. It's anywhere from probably $10 to $20 million worth of stuff for us to work on. So,
wow, that's PJ worthy right there.
No, not quite. We had that number. We did find that number.
We did do the math.
We know
really
the number
expensive.
now. It's very fun needs to get.
I was just talking about a charter, not ownership.
Oh, okay, fair.
I was talking a charter to get you there whenever you want to go.
We own assets. We don't rent that shit around here.
We need to have a liquidity event that justifies the purchase of a private jet.
We're nowhere close.
Bonus on the
Here comes
bonus appreciation.
Don't buy a 7-Eleven, Will. Buy
a plane.
That's what Joe, my partner, says. He's all about the plane. He's like, we can bonus that. I'm like, we need to do a lot more deals.
Yeah, get that volume up. But
JSX.
We actually cornered an industrial tenant that we're in negotiations with who went dark on us. He didn't think he's going to see us there.
No.
We're like,
wow.
Hey, where are we at?
Yeah, I just went up to him, and the guy's a mountain of a
he's
human.
A huge dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 5'9" on a good day. I'm like, I like put my finger in his chest. And I was like, I probably should back off a little bit. This guy's just gonna smash me. But it was good. We made a great connection.
And we saw
there.
him last week at the iOS convention, and got a lot of traction with them. So.
Yeah. So no, we had great. We met. I'm negotiating one LOI on 3 build-to-suits right now, or 3 ground leases because of it. So, which is pretty good. And we made a great connection on New York City.
I think the one interesting thing that I heard a lot, we spent a lot of time with the Murphy's real estate director, because one of our sponsors was there and we didn't have a place to sit. Right. You know, like they need to have like third party. You can like rent a place to sit.
So there's an American Express lounge.
Okay.
The Centurion Lounge is there on site. So if you've got the Platinum card or whatever, you can use that. So I do think a lot of people use that.
I don't got an Amex anymore, but I got that Chase, the big, the same one. So
so they've got the Chase Lounge at the airport, but not at the convention.
Like we literally just came back to the JLL booth.
Yeah.
Because we were like, I need to fucking sit down.
Yeah. I need a bottle of water.
We're like, hey, we're here to see Rob Franks. You're like deep in a meeting. She's like, let me find him. I'm like, no,
don't worry about it. He'll be all right.
We're just gonna sit here.
We just sat down and had a Coke.
It was really interesting because like people were very territorial over the booth.
Oh yeah,
Because like Jeremy's like, Will, you have to understand why they spent millions of dollars to be here, and like they want to know what you're doing in here. This is precious real estate. Yeah.
So at the end of the show, right, and you know, JLL, we have a 10,000 square foot booth. We spend millions of dollars on ICSC. And, you know, of all the business lines, office doesn't have an event like that. Industrial doesn't have an event like that. So our CFO is looking at that, you know, P&L going, wait a second, why does retail have this large cash expenditure out in Vegas every single year? Not to mention flying all of it. You know, we're all flying out there and staying in hotels and entertaining and everything else. And so at the end of it, we actually get a questionnaire that's like, hey, who did you meet with? What deals did you talk about? How much revenue did you produce while you were there, right? Trying to quantify, hey, we spent whatever, X millions, but we have line of sight to another 5 times that in pipeline due to being at the show. Yeah. So they take it very seriously, and they're tracking foot traffic. Hey, you know, Bob came in twice during the deal, and Jeremy came in once, and that whole thing, all of that goes back to kind of proving up your costs and why are you doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, we
makes sense.
Booched a little bit.
I love it. No, it's good.
We got 2 water bottles and we sat on a couch for 15 minutes.
Too.
Okay.
Those are, that's all union supplied. So that was probably an $8 Coke and a $14 bottle of water. So it's perfect. I'm glad you guys used
Invoices
it.
in the mail.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so let me ask you this. Do you go to Orlando and New York?
So I used to do New York every year, and I skipped. I kind of after COVID, I think I went 1 or 2 more times after that, and then it just became like, man, to fly all the way to New York and get into the city and do the whole thing. That's definitely the second biggest show, second most productive show. It still kind of pales in comparison to Vegas, though, because that's so big and so over the top. But it's still a very productive show. What I have found is so much of my business is here in Texas, in Dallas. Texas ICSC is at the end of January every year. New York is in the beginning of December. So they're almost back to back. So I'm like, anybody I was going to meet with in New York, I'm probably going to see in 2 months anyways in Dallas. I can save myself 3 days and travel headaches and the expense of flying to New York City. So I stopped going 2 years ago, and I don't know that I miss it at all.
Yeah, we would go to New York, but haven't been in a couple of years. I think kind of like what Rob said, a lot of the people that we're going to see, we're either seeing in Vegas, we're traveling to see them during the year, or they're going to be in Texas, but we've done pretty much all the regional shows. I think it just comes down to, can you pack enough meetings in where you're like, if you can go see 3, 4, 5 different groups at the same time, I think it's worth it because you can pack a lot of good stuff in there. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. The other thing I would add is how, Teams and Zoom calls have become so fundamental in our day-to-day operation now. Obviously, it didn't used to be that way. And so you might be negotiating something for months and finally meeting the person or seeing them face-to-face for the first time in New York or Vegas or Dallas. Now, all of a sudden, you're on a Teams call with them every other week while you're trying to finalize a deal or whatever it may be. And so it feels way more personal now in what we're doing than it used to. And so I don't know that it's as necessary as it was once upon a time.
I think overall, ICSC, just events, Vegas being the big one, is not what it used to be. I think it's way better than, when we're in the middle of COVID and coming out of that, it's kind of gradually ramped back up, and it is way better than it was just, even 3-4 years ago. But I still don't think it's what it was prior to COVID.
Great point. So I think they had 23,000 people pre-registered for ICSC in Vegas. So they were expecting to hit about 25,000 with day of registrations. By comparison, in its heyday, it was 50,000 plus. So we had think about it. You had South Hall and North Hall this year. It used to be South, Central, and North, all three packed to the gills with exhibitors. And so just to put it in perspective, it's half of what it was, 2005, 6.
Right.
And so I think, I don't know that it ever gets back to those kind of numbers, but I do think we probably average that 25, maybe we get up to the 30 type range, but it's, the market has changed a little bit with being, so digital now compared to what it was.
I love it. I love I think just meeting people in person, having that interaction face to face is big and it's important. But I think to your point, there's so many people that after COVID, they're like, oh, we can do this remote. We can do this from Zoom. We're primarily doing stuff in Texas. So you'll see certain real estate reps for certain companies that kind of handle a market. They'll go do the regional show or whatever it may be. And they may not even go to Vegas because it's such a national event. It's great for us because we're meeting people all over the country that we're working with. So it's a good spot to go see everybody at one time. But I think it's changed with a lot of retailers, developers, whoever it may be. If they're kind of central to one part of the country, they may just do that regional show and not Vegas.
Well, when you think about it, the way I just talked about JLL spending money, imagine if you're Starbucks or Chipotle and you're sending a squad of 30 people out there, and hosting them in Vegas for 3 days. The expense that has on those retailers. And that's the key. You've got it. Retailers get to go for free, right? So we all paid $1,000 a piece for our badge. Retailers get to go for free. They're trying to entice them to keep coming because that's a key component. If those retailers stop going,
they drive all of this.
They do. If the retailers are not there, we got a big problem. That the wheels fall off on that thing pretty fast.
Yeah. That would suck. No more build-a-suits.
So next year, you guys come and set up a margarita stand right out front. And it's, developers, do you need money? We're right here. Or who wants to do an industrial deal, right? I'll sell you iOS and I'll buy iOS. What was your t-shirt?
I'll sell you iOS, buy my iOS.
I think it's very different. We did 2 conferences in 2 weeks. We did ICSC, then last week we did the industrial outside storage one. And it's a different feel when you're the capital provider and not like the capital sponsor, right? Because broker, like there's the tenants who drive your pool. I mean, they drive our pool too, but like it's very acute. And yours is like, there's a bunch of developers, a bunch of brokers, and a bunch of investment sales guys. Like, there's how much more value can you actually provide? But a capital markets guy was like, it's very different for the capital to actually show up, and be like in the room. Not that there were anything big. I mean, pretty small compared to a lot of people, but. Then when we go to the industrial side,
pretty key part of the overall process.
Yeah. But I feel like a lot of times like maybe people just sit in their offices and like, just call me with the deal, and I don't know, it's all phone work. But it was cool to be there. People got excited, but then on the flip side, you go to the industrial one, and you're like back in the mix, or it's just like another sponsor, or just brokers show me deals. It's very hard to differentiate and value besides the fact that we're fun.
Right.
So,
we're cooler than those guys.
Yeah. It's hard to build a business off of that, but we have. But no, it was very. I don't know. I was very impressed with it all.
But I did have a lot of people come up to us at both. But like at the retail one, they're like, "Hey, we love the retail podcast."
Nice.
Like a lot of people are listening to it, so it's good.
Yeah.
A lot of people are paying attention.
They don't like Jeff's football picks, though.
Yeah, we did get that. We got some poo-poo.
He's been a little ice cold lately.
Well, he's betting on UFL. I mean, come on, cut the guy a break.
In his defense, that's tough.
That's like doing the men's pickup league at LA Fitness. That guy might have played pro for mini camp. Okay,
played in Lithuania for 20 games.
Yeah.
It's like okay,
so,
but no, it was great, and it was good to see you guys momentarily. But
we'll do a podcast out there next year.
Yeah.
So
well, y'all had it all set up.
So we had the equipment. Now, 2 years ago, we were basically booked with podcasts from start to finish. And so I was like, I don't know how we're going to be able to get into the mix. But this year, there were definitely some gaps in there. So I think next year I'll be pushing for that. So we'll do a live one there.
Could we just like plug in our own stuff?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know why not.
They had the whole setup.
I know. I saw it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah. So James Cooks is our head of research, and he has a great retail podcast, Where We Buy.
Yeah.
And so he records live out there and does a bunch of interviews and the whole thing. But I think we can leverage the equipment next year and do a live.
Cool.
What was the difference between North and South Hall? Because South Hall was like very jam-packed. We spent 90% of our time there.
So that's where the retailers
were. What did we say earlier?
Yeah.
What drives this whole thing?
The retailers were all in
most
there.
of the brokers
were all at because you go over there. It was
that makes
JLL,
sense.
CBRE, Colliers, all those guys.
The other thing, don't make the mistake of trying to book back and forth. That'll just kill you.
We didn't know that, and I quit. It did not do that on. It was
Somehow
just
we ended up in the
coincidental.
South Hall the whole day.
That's smart.
It just
But probably because the
coincidentally.
developers were over there talking to the retailers, so
That's
we're
right.
the capital guy just standing in the corner. You know?
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out.
We had no clue.
Yeah.
That's all luck.
That worked out.
That was all luck.
Yeah.
You do that once and then you're like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're rebuilding the Central Hall, and I assume it's open by next year. I don't know, maybe it's not, but
Sure.
I think so.
and then they tear down the South Hall and start the South Hall renovation. So eventually, you're going to have 3 new halls, and who knows how all that's configured when it's done. But it's impressive.
It's I feel we're just going to get better and better at ICSC every show we go.
Yeah. It was super. I love Vegas. I just love all the bullshit that goes on there. It's just very fun.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. It's just like in like the party and, the food and like the energy.
Yeah.
This is I've been to Vegas a ton. When we were walking back, the other thing besides not having ice cream was my eyes were so dry from the oxygen.
Yeah.
It was just like pumping. I was like, man, like what the fuck? Like, it's just like they're like burning.
Yeah.
And, but it was wild. That was a good time. So
Awesome.
Well,
Nice.
on to your segment, Bob.
All right. We want to jump in and we'll talk about
Speaking of retailers.
retailers. All right. So I guess I'll start off real quick just with tenure. We're watching that pretty closely. For the most part, it's kind of bounced around between 4 and 4.5 for the most part for this year. Last month, if you kind of look back at what it did, I think it hit high of 458. And I think the low was like 4.25. So still kind of bouncing around in that same range. You know, I think every time there's talk about, you know, what's going on with tariffs and everything else, you know, you'll see some movement. But for the most part, if you look at it, it's been pretty stable. Would love to see it lower, but it's still kind of in that same range.
Okay.
The tenants that we're tracking, I'll just kick us off with Starbucks. You know, I think overall, it's been one that we've focused on a lot just because there's still a lot of that product out there. You know, a little bit of good news, I'd say the inventory's come down a little bit, slightly. They're still over 220 if you look at all of them that are out there, but kind of 8+ years remaining, more of the new construction stuff. Last month, it was 162. You know, the month before this past month, it was like at 157. So it's come down a little bit. You know, there's 5 fewer on the market than, you know, with all the deals that are being sold versus what's coming on new. So I think it's, you know, a little bit of glimmer of hope that, you know, we're kind of moving in the right direction, but still too much supply, still probably 1.5 years worth of supply that's out there on the market. Cap rate ranges are still in the same kind of spot that they were last month. The high cap's around a 7, medians at a 6. So they're still kind of in that same range. Not a lot of movement there.
Does have any of the new lease structures hit the market yet? So with the you know how they started kind of getting, these lease structures are always very difficult. The new ones that they've kind of gone back to giving longer term, are those started to enter the market?
No, they are. There's some with some longer terms. You know, there's some that they've tried to minimize any kind of responsibility the landlord has. So those help, and they definitely differentiate. But buyers are still in this, you know, they're still in this kind of mindset of they're either chasing what is the best kind of product that's out there, and that could be quality of real estate, you know, tenant for sure. And then there's others that are really chasing yield. So that's kind of what we're still seeing. All right. 7-Eleven is another one. That one, again, I feel like most of these is pretty comparable to what we've seen last month. So not a huge change there either. There's 66 on the market right now, kind of new construction, 12+ years remaining. Last month, it was at 64. So a slight uptick with the ones that have sold. Not a ton that are moving off the market, but there was 4 that sold last month, another 6 that came on the market. So, you know, up another couple. Cap rate ranges are still the same as they were last month. 5.5 is probably the high cap to in that kind of segment that we're tracking, that newer construction stuff. Medians at 5.15, and then there's some stuff in California that's, you know, lower. Super that's low. Out there. Yeah.
What are those sale prices at for 7-Eleven?
You know, I would say the median price is in that $7 to $8 million range, but you know, there's stuff that's 10 plus, and some of those deals are trading, but again, I'd say again, it's still flight to quality. So what are the premier markets that people want to be in? California is still one of those. Arizona's a hot market. The Carolinas are strong. Florida and Texas are solid. So buyers that are in, I would say the other thing is it's primarily exchange buyers. And then there's just fewer of them out there, and they've got options. So they kind of got their pick. You know, what market do they want to be in? Where do they feel like is the best quality real estate? Or they'll chase yield and they'll try to lob high offers in and see, hey, can I get a deal where I feel like the yield is above where most of the product is? And so that's kind of what we're seeing with buyers. As it relates to 7-Eleven, I think the other big buyer obviously is those bonus buyers. And we strongly feel like that's going to get passed, and we'll see more buyers enter the market when that happens. So a lot of those are kind of on the sidelines, kicking tires. They want to know what's going on, but they're waiting to make sure that gets passed. So most of the buyers are exchange buyers right now. And then one of our favorites.
Our sponsor, who's not a sponsor.
That's right. Chipotle. So a little bit of, some of that product's been taken off. There was 11 that sold last month, kind of 12 plus years remaining.
I think we had 2 of them.
There's only 7 new that came to market. So we're tracking like 46, kind of 12 plus years remaining. Currently, last month, that was 50. Cap rate ranges are still pretty comparable to last month. The median out there is around a 5. There's some as high as 5.75, but there's some California stuff that's out there at a 4 cap. So pretty consistent. Supply is pretty constant, about 12 months of supply out there with those guys. So, no big major changes, I don't think, in that front from last month to this month.
Cool.
And I'd say just net lease overall, it's still, I feel like it's trending in the right direction, but it's kind of like the overall market. It's still, bouncing around a little bit. There's good activity, and I think there's a lot of optimism, like what's coming, but there's still a ton of uncertainty. And as we talked about last time, that uncertainty just kind of makes people step back and just wait. Like, let's see what happens. Unless they're motivated by, they're in a trade and they've got to go transact. A lot of those buyers are just kind of waiting, taking a wait and see approach.
My brother's building a Dollar General portfolio right now.
Really?
He just bought one, and where'd he buy that? At Euless?
Yeah.
Now he's buying one in Virginia.
West Virginia.
He's getting a 12 cap, so I guess
But there's only 3 years left on the lease.
But they're kind of the staple. They're like the grocery store of those towns.
You guys will laugh at this. Jeremy knows this. I said, well, Jeff, I have to say I don't renew. He said, well, Will, I guess I'm going to go to church. And I was just like, I guess you are. Christy went out there, his wife, and she was just like, yeah, this is out there, but it's like a $200,000 deal. It's small.
Yeah, it's
$200,000-$300,000.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the good news about those, especially
money,
when
not
trying
ours.
it out. Trying new things,
when they're that low a rent and, that cost, they can't go replace it, Now where you're in trouble is if they come up with a new prototype and that doesn't fit anymore, now you're in trouble because it doesn't almost matter, they'll just move in order to go build their prototype because they think it's going to drive more revenue.
So it was a few years ago, they added refrigerated sections into a lot of those. And it was, the old ones were too small. And so they would literally go right across the highway and go from 8,000 to 12,000 or whatever it was to get their refrigeration section in there. So that's what you got to be worried about. Because if you've got an 8,000 square foot building in the middle of nowhere, West Virginia, and Dollar General goes directly across the street, I don't know who you backfill that old Dollar General with.
Yeah.
Tell him he needs to go do site visits on those.
She went up there.
He needs to go, bring a hefty gift card and find the manager and have a little side conversation and get a little tour. Somebody told me, I don't know if it's right outside the bathrooms or something with Dollar Generals, that they'll post almost like scorecards. And all of the retailers, a lot of them do it. A lot of times they're not in like a public area, but I think with Dollar General, maybe they are. Those are the things that you get little clues like, oh, this is a good store.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. It's hitting volumes those are the little inside baseball or whatever you want to call it, that you can get some good tips.
Speaking of the prototype changing, didn't McDonald's try to do some kind of new thing and then they just shuttered them all?
So Cosmix is what it was called. And so they did Chicago and Texas and maybe Florida or something to that effect. And I think they opened a dozen or so of those.
There's
and
like 10 or so.
A lot of those were conversions. So they had old McDonald's that, had been relocated and they still had an old one on the books sitting around the corner or whatever. And so they converted those and then they did a couple net news as well. They have now closed all of those. So I don't think the concept, there was a lot of hubbub when it first opened. It was very unique drinks and snacks and it wasn't like a McDonald's at all. And then there was talk about it kind of being an incubator for future menu items that would get launched at McDonald's. But ultimately, I think once the excitement wore off, it failed miserably, I would imagine. And so they closed them all down.
We worked on one where it was a prior client bought another deal. It was another concept, Pollo Tropical, that didn't really make it in this market. They do really well in Florida, but didn't really work in DFW. They backfilled that, and we were selling a lot of McDonald's. We're like, hey, let's go. Now's a good time. You've got them new, they're fresh, it's exciting. There's a lot of buzz around it. We were really aggressive it's McDonald's credit. So we're trying to sell it at a McDonald's cap rate, in the low 4s. And just most of the buyers looked at it. A lot of people that were interested, a lot of people looked at it, but ultimately, I think because it was a new concept, most buyers weren't willing to stretch. And our seller wasn't really willing to sell it at a rate that wasn't comparable to McDonald's. They're like, hey, I got McDonald's credit. I'll just sit on the rent and just wait and see what happened. Well, it didn't turn out great as far as them continuing, but they still got McDonald's on the hook, and it's a good site and good interest from other potential tenants. But yeah, the concept just didn't take hold. And I think the one they originally started with in Chicago market was supposedly just killing it. And they thought that would translate. I don't know how that one's doing now, but I think they're all shuttering
closed.
them all.
Yeah, they're all done.
There's one off of Bethany and Allen. I think I drove by it. I'd never seen
brand
one.
new build-to-suit.
It looked brand new.
It's closed.
Oh, there was cars though there.
When?
It's like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, they just closed it. This just got announced.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, there's people. There's
the final sell.
Yeah. Oops. Oh.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yep.
It probably works out for the guys that own them. They've got
it was two
McDonald's on the hook, and they're gonna have to sit there and pay it out or do a buyout.
So one of my notes for today was actually on McDonald's. So the 10 most valuable global brands for 2025 list just came out, led by Apple at 1.3 trillion, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, all the usual suspects. Number 8 was the interesting McDonald's at $221 billion.
Do you eat McDonald's?
I do not. I mean,
can you tell me the last time you had McDonald's?
When the kids were little, we'd get some chicken. 2 weeks ago when he went through Cosmics.
It was probably in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I can tell you probably last time I was in Graham, I ate a Whataburger with some French fries, but McDonald's, not so much.
Dude, I love McDonald's. I just think it's like...
There's a lot of people that do. Like the average unit volumes those guys are doing are big. There's only a couple like Chick-fil-A, maybe Cane's.
Yeah.
Who else is ahead of them in the QSR space? Not many.
Not many. Yeah, when the kids were little, we used to take them there, and they would, they could play on the playground and have their chicken nuggets, little kids meal and whatever. But it's been a long time. It's been a long time.
But I think they have done a good job of kind of keeping the concept fresh. Like, I don't go to McDonald's either, but I think if you go inside one, a lot of it's touchscreen menu boards. They've automated a lot. I think they're doing stuff like that to keep their labor model to kind of keep ahead, especially with when you see markets like, California, where they've raised the minimum wage to such a point where you've got to automate, you've got to do those things, or you just can't make it in that space. And it's all about speed of service. I think it's consistent, when you go through there. And so I think that's what the people that do go there love it. And there's value there. So, and I think they've got a few healthy options, but
that's nice of you to say.
Will always gets a salad.
The snack wrap is coming back.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right.
Hard pass.
So a quarter rib.
Quarter pounder of cheese, baby. El Royale.
In-N-Out back active again. Interesting. They've got 7 deals that they just announced in California, Arizona, Washington. They're working on stuff in Dallas again. So they're back active. They've got 5 deals in Nashville that they're about to announce that will open this year. So that's a new market for them.
Did I see Vegas too?
I didn't see Vegas,
okay.
but yeah, it might have been on that list.
Bob, do they own or do they develop?
They'll
sell.
They own, but they'll ground lease. Yeah,
Their preference is to purchase.
Yeah, that's
strong
right.
preference is to purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what's great about them is, and I tell people this all the time, sometimes I don't know that people, maybe they do, maybe they don't think this way, but what's great about kind of concepts coming like an In-N-Out from West Coast, coming to Texas and other markets, those West Coast buyers, they know that concept. They love it and they will pay up for it. People in California will pay up for an In-N-Out site, ground lease, about the same way they would a McDonald's because they love that product.
No like and trust.
Which is
pride of ownership too.
Yeah. And we've talked to, different concepts that kind of grow and maybe they start in the Southeast or, Texas or wherever, and they grow west until that customer in the West Coast or East Coast, the most aggressive buyers, until they kind of understand the concept. Sometimes they don't trade as well until they get enough momentum. I think Canes is a good example of that. Canes starts out of Baton Rouge,
I think Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge,
Louisiana.
Yeah, he was LSU guy, and then grows. And so you just, as they continue to grow west, especially once they got into California and they went gangbusters, kind of like Chick-fil-A, their average unit volumes out in California are supposedly just crazy high, 8-9 million plus. And once they got out there and the West Coast buyer understood that product, they will buy those all the time now. So it's kind of interesting, when you kind of look at concepts and how they grow and how do they trade, that has an influence. Kind of off topic.
The geography birthplace. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean,
makes total sense.
Especially if you're going west, right? You kind of got to go through the desert to get there. Like come out the other side.
Yeah.
Like, you like go through New Mexico and you're like, can we get to the other side of this?
Yeah.
You're in Arizona.
Yeah, the metaphor. I love that. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah. Staying in this same vein, so Dave's Hot Chicken just sold. Rourke Capital bought it for a couple $1 billion. So
my son loves that place.
Yeah, 300 plus locations. They've got plans to add 700 apparently. So big franchise, driven concept. But I think it started with $2 million and has now grown to,
wow.
I think I said 2. I think it's 1 billion. I think my notes are incorrect, but I think $1 billion exit for those guys. So good for them.
Way to go, Dave.
Way to go, Dave. Well done.
Is Dave still there? Is he still the
guy? Not anymore. That check is cleared. He is gone.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a lot of interest. Last podcast, we were talking about the highest sales of these steakhouses.
It's still going.
It's still going.
Which, by the way, those were not our recommendations. That was not our list. And there was a lot of, I got in the comment section for a little bit.
Yeah, I did too.
There was some shrapnel flying down.
Comments are still going strong.
And I thought, man, this wasn't our list. We were just talking about sales volumes. Yeah. And so I did think that was interesting. The Texas barbecue list has just come out. So top 50 barbecue restaurants in Texas.
Are you gonna go back into the line of fire here?
We got to jump back in there. We got to jump back in there. So.
Food is really controversial.
Segment Rob's top hits. Here,
you and I were prime front and center for that.
We were. So. Disclaimer, this is not our list. We did not create this list.
Is this Tom Cruise's list? He just hit it up.
Who's the list from? Texas?
So this is Texas Monthly.
Okay.
But we do appreciate all the banter. So keep it up.
It's fantastic.
Just don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
Rob's just reading a list out of a magazine. Watch it.
Yeah. So we got 2 in the top 10 in Dallas. So Dwayne's Craft Barbecue in Alito, which I've eaten at. It is fantastic.
Never heard of it.
Never even knew it.
Yeah. So it's a tiny little spot.
That's number 1?
That is number 7
on the list.
In the state.
In the state.
One of 2 in DFW.
Wow.
Yeah.
1 of 2 in DFW.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. The other is number 3 out of the state. That's Goldie's.
I've always wanted to go there.
Never been there either.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh, this is in Haltom City?
Yeah.
Dude, Kennedale. I've heard it's killer.
Yeah. So
Killer.
South Fort Worth. And
Okay.
it's fantastic. So that was number 3 on the list. Number 1 is in Seguin, Burnt Bean Company. And so they have been at the top of the list for quite a while and have now worked their way to number 1. So great job for those guys. That's Daniel Vaughn with Texas Monthly. It's a great list. He's got a map that's really cool on the website. You can actually download an app as well. So if you're traveling, it'll show you all of because you got he only lists out the top 10 and then he calls out a total top 50. Then he has a whole nother kind of next 50, if you will.
Yeah.
And one thing I thought was interesting is when you read his descriptions of these, hardly ever does it mention brisket. So somebody kind of called him out. Hey, why is brisket not a focus? And he said, brisket is a standard.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to be anywhere close to this list, your brisket has to be impeccable. Like the only way to separate yourself nowadays
is everything else.
Everything around it. The sides and the sausage and the ribs.
I like that. I agree. Yeah. So like that's the starting block.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Your brisket better scream.
Yeah. When he came out with this list probably 10 years ago for the first time, it was, the best brisket this and the best brisket that. And now it's just become kind of standard operating procedure. If you're going to be a great barbecue restaurant in Texas, you've got to have amazing brisket.
I'll tell you what. So one of my favorites is I can't even think of the name of it. That's terrible. It's on the Design District, right on the old gas station. No,
it's Slow Bone.
Slow Bone.
So Slow Bone is in the top 50.
Oh, good.
So call out to Slow Bone. They made the list.
Slow Bone's like my favorite. And not really, their brisket's great.
Yeah.
Everything else their sides are phenomenal. I hate it like when you go to a barbecue restaurant and you're just like, oh, here's some more beans and tater salad, but they have all these phenomenal different sides. Yeah. And so that makes it really good for me.
Yeah. So Cadillac was on that list in the top 50. Okay. And, that's a fantastic one over by the Galleria. If you've never been there, that's great.
I've not been there.
Yeah, you got to go there too. I haven't been there.
I mean, they still have a line out the door. And then, some interesting ones that kind of fell off. Pecan Lodge was not on that list.
I've heard they've been garbage recently.
Which blew my mind because that was number one.
That was like number one.
That was number one. And that, that was the staple in Dallas for a long time.
The big rib, remember you go in there, it was like $80 or like $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why I threw that out there because when he came in for his big premiere, that's where he went. Tom Cruise went there.
Oh, right.
Had a big deal. And right before a couple of premieres that he came in for Mission Impossible, they talked it up big time.
He probably didn't even eat anything. It's like, that doesn't fit my diet.
So what was the top 10?
So the top 10 was, let's see, we've got Burnt Bean was number 1. Hang on, I was going to the map to look.
I feel like you should do like a Texas country reporter sesh and go to all these places.
I mean, we're up and down.
On your jet.
Oh, come on now.
We'll use the driver on this.
Okay, all right. Well, we're up and down 35, so might as well.
Yeah, Seguin's not too far out of the beaten path for us.
No, for a moment, we had this initiative like Fridays, like Jeremy and I and Dylan would go and try a new concept. So like we went to Qdoba once and we're like
never
again. Like never buy a Qdoba.
I can't believe you cheated on our sponsor.
Yeah. Well, we were like,
once.
One time.
We went back and for penance. So.
Yeah, we haven't tried another concept since. It's just like.
We tried that burger place. In San Antonio.
Pete Terry's.
Yeah, no interest.
No interest.
Don't bring us one.
We won't fund it. We won't do it. Pete Terry's.
Didn't think it was that great.
Well, buyer experience. I mean, customer experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So number 10, Evie Mae's Pit Barbecue in Wolford.
Oh, that's Lubbock.
There you go. Have never been there. Truth Barbecue down in Houston at number 9. Opened in 2015. Number 8 is Lavaca Barbecue down in Port Lavaca, down off the coast.
Okay.
You've got number 7 is Dwayne's Craft Barbecue. We talked about out in Alito. That is fantastic, by the way. I've eaten there.
I want to try that now.
Really good. Number 6 is Interstellar Barbecue down in Austin. They were showing the before and after of them making the list. I think they jumped their prices like 40% overnight.
Oh, wow.
Because the line was out. It was already busy, right? They're very good at what they do, but all of a sudden you get to number 6 on this list and business is booming. So let's see. Number 5 was GW's Barbecue in San Juan. Number 4 is Redbird Barbecue and Port Neches.
Neches.
Number 3 is Goldie's, we talked about in South Fort Worth. Number 2 is Leroy and Lewis Barbecue down in Austin. And then obviously number 1, Burn Bean Company in Seguin.
So I guess Terry Black's wasn't in there somewhere. They're supposed to be.
I like Terry Black's, but it might be too mainstream at this point.
I love Hutchins. Hutchins is solid every time we go there.
Never been.
And there's a line out the door all day long at that place.
You been to Heim?
Do you ever go to Hutchins?
Oh, yeah. We used to go when it was Randy White's.
Yeah.
That, at that time, Randy's name meant more than the Hutchins name did. Not that case anymore. But the one in McKinney is fantastic.
Yeah.
We go to that one especially. Yeah, so in Dallas, let's see, the ones that are near us, you've got Yearby's Barbecue in Pilot Point.
Okay, I haven't
You've
heard of
got
that.
North Texas Smoke in Decatur.
Nope.
You've got Smoketown in Fate.
These are like all new
This
places.
is all on the periphery.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the map, so I'm starting out coming in. So Cadillac in Dallas, Slowbone in Dallas, Smoky Joe's in Dallas, down South Dallas.
I've never been there.
And then let's see, you've got Goldie's, Panther City Barbecue.
Dude, that place is electric. Have you been there? It's really good.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Where's that at in Fort Worth?
Yeah.
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 So that's it. Those are the only ones that made the list.
But Terry Black's, isn't that technically Austin?
That's
based?
the Austin
Yeah.
one. They're gonna go home base on
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
one. So
So that was pretty neat. Those have not been endorsed by the team here, but we've got some good ones on the list. Some other headlines. CBD, THC stores.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yes, this is a big deal.
This is a big deal. So, it has now passed the Texas state legislature. It's on the governor's desk to sign. If he signs that and they ban the THC sales in Texas, what happens to all of these 8,500 CBD stores?
It's
that are in the
estimated
markets?
17 million feet of retail.
Wow.
And I guess he has to sign it, or if he does nothing, it goes into effect.
Okay.
He can sign it, he can veto it, or do nothing. And we were talking about this yesterday. Is that force majeure in the lease?
Right.
Because you got to talk about a lot of leases going in flux.
So now one point of clarity, and I'm just getting educated on this, so I don't know the full answer, but this is only on THC, THC edibles, THC, drinks, those things, not actual CBD and the creams and that stuff. It just can't have any of the flower element to it.
Yeah.
So you could still have a vape shop or, that type of thing. You just can't offer any of the THC products.
It's going to be, was it Lieutenant
Dan?
Dan?
Isn't it?
Dan, yeah.
Dan
Dan Paxton.
He's all fired up.
No, I don't think it's Dan Patrick. Who's the?
I think it's Dan Patrick.
Isn't that the Attorney General?
Yeah, he's the Lieutenant Governor, right?
He's the Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah.
Paxton, I think, is
Ken Paxton.
Yeah.
Ken
is the
Paxton.
Attorney
Attorney
General.
General of Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan Patrick.
Dan Patrick. He's
you go.
all fired up about this.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan.
So this plays into also our ongoing theory this year of the Aldersons.
Yeah.
Aldersons?
The
new owners of the Mavs diabolical scheme to move the Mavs to Vegas. Because if they're doing this, they ain't passing gambling.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan is a hard no
Yeah.
for fun in this state. He does not like to party.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Dan does not party. Unlike Lieutenant Dan from
After
this is post Vietnam. Lieutenant Dan is not fun.
Yeah.
He's sad
We're going
man.
to Forrest Gump. I
Here,
like it.
Forrest Gump. He's in the wheelchair, just sad with the confetti on his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's sad, Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, man.
No, but to your point, he's anti-gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like if you smash this, that's on the docket next, and then the Mavs go to, and I think the lease is like $1 million a year on the AAC. So they're just like, whatever.
there's going to be a major revolt if they move.
I don't know. It's that they've dismantled their fan base so much already. Like,
Well, I think they get a little glimmer of hope when they get that #1 overall pick. It's kind of funny. They're talking about, I was reading something, they're talking about, will the Spurs trade #2 and then 3 first rounders in addition to get Dallas as number one.
So
that's a big haul.
I had dinner last night with a guy who's a diehard Mavs fan, a college buddy of mine.
Mavs fan for life.
Yeah.
MFFL.
Visceral physical reaction to the whole Luka thing. I mean, just was still emotionally just charged up. And the guy sitting next to him, our other buddy, was like, I bet you they trade that first round pick. And he's like, get that out of your mouth. Like, don't even, like, how could you even think about it? But to your point, you could see, I could see it happening.
There's some diehard fans, younger guys in our office, and I asked them because I'd read it on ESPN. They're like, nobody thinks that's a good idea, but somebody had thrown out there, Spurs are at number 2. Mm-hmm. They go, what if they swap the number 1, give you the number 2 and 3 first rounders? And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's 1 for 4.
Yeah. And 1 pick, you move 1 spot.
You can't even get CBD up in here.
Whoa.
Man, but I don't know. So back to the real estate component of all that. 17 million feet of retail is at risk with that.
Yeah.
It's
I don't think that falls under force majeure either.
No.
I don't think they would. I think they'd be like, hey, you can still sell all the other products that you're talking about.
That's the point is I think you could still have a product offering. You could still stock a store. Now, one of your biggest components is gone.
Yeah.
But I think you could still, do everything else that they're selling legally in the vape shop.
If they had language in their lease, we've seen some old tenants that that Cash Store was one of these that, did some payday loans and some other things that were kind of, higher interest rate type loans and so forth. They had language in their lease like, hey, if the
usury laws change.
That's right. If they change, then we can terminate. So that's different. But I'm assuming these guys don't have that kind of language. But
it's I'll tell you what, we have had some marijuana tenants in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Never again.
Really?
Just don't give them to me.
Not interested.
Just some of them are fine, but then your insurance goes through the roof.
It's
and no one, if you can get insurance, and then what do? Call them and go, hey, our insurance went up $25,000. Here's your bill.
Right.
Like it's it's too difficult. Yeah. It's too many challenges.
What about on those deals? Were you able to get financing or was it all cash type transaction? Those are the other things
certain banks up there would do it, but yes, financing is a challenge too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a bunch of unwanted hurdles.
Yeah.
Where I thought it could be a tenant base that, hey, it's just another industry.
Right.
No.
You're like 10 cap, sign me up.
The biggest thing is the insurance ballooned on our stuff up there. And we just pushed it all onto one. There's just OpEx is part of the equation. And, a year and a half in, OpEx is like quadrupled. It sucks.
Well, I mean, but technically we should be giving that to the weed tenant. Be like, well, your use caused this insurance to go up.
Right.
And
if it's $200,000 general in West Virginia, you could just self-insure. And
that's probably what's going to happen.
Jeff will probably self-insure.
So,
let's see. A couple other headlines. At Home is most likely going to file this month.
Really?
Yeah. So they were struggling. COVID hit. Their business went through the roof. They were booming, opened up a ton of stores, and now they're slowing down again. And I think the tariffs or threats of tariffs have had a significant impact on their business model. So that's a bankruptcy that's looming. And Rite Aid just went BK for the second time. So it doesn't affect us as much here in Texas.
Dude, At Home has like a big ODC in GSW. Like a monster.
Yeah. They've got a big one in Plano as well.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, just north of George Bush.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Right at 75.
Yeah, it's right. It's right down the street.
Oh, the one with all the trailers out front.
Yeah. CB just sold
that was the OG. Like that.
They just sold it.
So they owned one pad. It was like 8 acres, just straight asphalt. And I think Elliot Dow put it on the market because he kind of saw this. He's like, "Hey, y'all own this parcel. Want to sell it?" And he took it. I don't know if it traded, but it was last month. Interesting.
Yeah.
What else you got, Rob?
Let's see, some good news on employment growth. So Dallas was second in the country on employment. So March of 24, 4.2 million employed here in Dallas. It grew by 56,000 to 4.279. The only one that beat us was New York City that grew by 94,000. So 1.3% growth in that year over year. Dallas has continued booming.
D-Town, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Now if the Cowboys can just put it together.
Are they going to move to Las Vegas too?
I don't know, man. Golly, that's 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot. So one more thing.
Yeah.
ICSC Orlando. Nah, not worth it.
If you want to do something else, go to New York.
Okay.
Don't waste your time on anything else.
Okay.
The one in California is pretty good on the West Coast if you're doing a bunch of stuff out there, but otherwise I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, we have no interest.
No,
in
Yeah, and
California.
then the one in Orlando, you'll be disappointed. It doesn't live up to Texas standards.
Okay.
For that matter. So
Only thing I would say about that, Florida is growing a ton like
Yeah.
Texas. And so there is, on the development side, you may have some, if you can line up enough good meetings, I don't know if you want to go just,
I guess it's
go
all
down there and
meeting
wing
driven, right? You just try to
it is.
start lining
Yeah.
them all up. And
Yeah.
then if you can't get them together, you just go, the ones you did line up, be like, oh, sorry, something
Yeah,
came out. I ain't
can't make
making
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Zoom call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
absolutely. Next month, maybe we'll have an update on the big, beautiful bill and know where we stand.
Big, beautiful.
Bob is so gung ho on this thing. Love it.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, until next time.
appreciate it.
All right.
absolutely.
See
Good
ya.
times.